Hi guys, it's Claire from I Wish I Can I Will, and welcome to the Make It Happen interview series. Today I am joined by the gorgeous Samantha Lawton. Hi Sam.
Hi Claire, how are you?
Yes, I'm great. So Sam often jokes that she chats to fantastic women in lunches, and that's her profession. And I know she does more than that. And what we're going to do today is share Sam's Make It Happen journey. Now, the reason I've started doing these interviews is that every day I meet women who have ideas, have goals, have challenges, have opportunities, and they really want to make it happen, but they're maybe not sure on how to get started or what to do. So what I thought was, if I started interviewing people who were making it happen and talked about their experience of making it happen, then maybe people would pick up ideas or tips on how they can start their own Make It Happen journey. So yeah, I'm thrilled to have Sam with us today. Now, Sam's had three major careers. She started her, after leaving education 23 years ago. Oh, that sounds like too long ago, Sam. She worked in hospitality management for 13 years, managing nightclubs and bars in the West End. She then went on to retrain as a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, and she built a busy and thriving practice in the city. So well done, Sam. But in 2011, an opportunity presented itself to become a franchisee for WIBN, which is the Women in Business Network. And Sam took on two groups with 16 members, and during the last few years, she has managed to grow that to 9 groups and 180 members. So if anybody knows how to make it happen, Sam does, and she is going to share her story with us today. So, Sam, yes. What you got to tell us?
Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me along to speak today. I guess it's like anybody, I don't think there's anything special about my story. It's a mixture of timing, it's a mixture of being in the right place at the right time, and it's a mixture of not being being very scared, but finally just making that leap to make it happen, as we say. I mean, very, very briefly, as you said, I worked in clubs, I worked in bars, and I got to a point where I was 34 years old, and I had a really horrible year. Various things happened to me, including being involved in an armed robbery where I was working.
Oh my God! That's
yeah, awful. I know. I can laugh about it now. I mean, but yeah, it obviously wasn't very funny at the time. And it was one of those moments that the guy literally had tied me up and had a gun behind me. And it was one of those moments with my face down on like my office floor after I've emptied the contents of the safe that I just thought, oh my God, there has to be more to life than this. And I realised I could have been in any job where it happened. I could have been working in a clothes shop or anywhere where there was money. But I was a bit disillusioned anyway because I was working till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I need to change something. Something needs to change. And then the catalyst, as often is the case, is some bad news. My cousin I was very close to committed suicide. And you know, we lived practically next door, grew up together, and it was just from being at that just bottom that I'm like, okay, enough, it's time to change, it's time to do something different. So and I'm a girl, as you know me, Claire, I'm a girl who likes my heels and likes to dress up. So I literally handed in my notice at work, gave them 5 weeks notice, and 5 weeks and 1 day later I was in Bangkok, on my way to teach English as a foreign language.
Wow. So that was a kind of like a complete shift.
Yeah, it was just, it's just like I just need to get away and have time, and I did the whole grown-up gap year thing, if you like, and then I went off to Australia, and it was a bit like getting as far away as I could and engross myself in projects, conservation volunteers, Australia. But really, when you go that far, it was like I was trying to run away, but you can't run away from yourself. And you take your own thoughts with you. And after I'd been gone about 6-7 months, I was like, okay, what's this all about? What's happening? And I had some coaching over in Australia. It was kind of a mixture of psychotherapy to just help me channel everything, and just a bit of coaching. And I'm like, okay, you know what, it's time to stop running away, it's time to go back to England and face up to everything or just work out what you're going to do with your life. So I came back and I didn't have a home to go to because I was renting my place out. And at 34, I found myself living in my mum and dad's spare bedroom, just with no money, and just my dad, very sweetly, when I arrived back, he gave me £70 and he said, "There's a bit of spending money for you."
Bless him. Oh.
So I just thought about, what do I really, really want to do? I don't want to go back into bars. It would have been an easy thing to do. What have I always been interested in? And the one thing I'd always been interested in is the mind and how the mind worked. And the woman who helped me in Australia, I thought, I'd love to be able to help somebody like that. So I embarked on a 3-year training course in hypnotherapy and psychotherapy.
Wow.
Which again was very expensive, was a big leap into the unknown. But I was doing it from a place of I don't know what else to do, and I need to get out of my mum and dad's bedroom. So I kind of launched myself into it without even, to be honest with you, without even thinking too much about it. It was like, right, let's just go, let's just do it. Did the training, came out the other end. And it was at that point, which was about 5-6 years ago, that I thought, I don't know what to do now. Now I'm qualified. How do I make it happen? How do I build myself a practice? How do I go from there? And again, for me, I found a life coach at the time, and that was just really, really helpful for me and just helped me get my ideas in a row. And so, right, let's do it. Let's launch this practice. But the one thing that was holding me back was almost the fear of, what will people think? Like, who do I think I am to say that I'm a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist when I just used to be the girl that got you into a club, into the VIP room? So it was like, but I did that.
It's interesting, Sam, because that is something that comes up quite often. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and at some point, you have to trust that instinct that that's what you've got to do in order to take that leap of faith, isn't it? It's kind of that, it's so scary. And I think a lot of people that I work with find that they're scared to, who the hell am I? What makes you think? And I know I felt like that when I started in business too.
I think that's it. It's like, who do I think I am? And for me, it was, what are people going to think? So for me, I think the thing that's always held me back is, what will people think of me if I put myself out there? So that was something I still deal with, to be honest with you. That's something I still deal with on a daily basis. What will people think? But anyway, I started off my practice. It was going really well, and the one way I found to get new clients was to get into networking. So I used to turn up at the opening of an envelope. I would just be out there all the time, day and night, just a real networking whore, really, just getting out there.
Better expression.
I know. And I really enjoyed it, and it was something that, because when you, as you know, when you work on your own, it can be very isolating. I'm working with clients one-on-one, I'm taking their trust on board, and there was kind of nowhere to go with it. Was I doing a good job? And everything else that goes with it. How am I going to market myself? How do I do accounts? All the rest of it. And so I found networking very helpful from that point of view. It was very social. I was meeting women and men, and I was getting more business. The bottom line is that I was getting more business as a result of it. And I was kind of thinking, God, I'm loving this networking thing. I could do it all day, but actually my job is to see clients.
Yeah.
And so I've been saying to a couple of friends, and it is almost that, if you put it out there kind of thing, because I am a big believer in the law of attraction. Yeah. I've been saying, I really like this networking thing, and I wonder if there's a way I could get into it and do it. But at the same time, I'm just getting on with my normal job. And the lady who ran the WIBN group I was in was moving down to the South Coast, and I'd always asked her, I'm always very curious about how people make my money. I'm like, so how do you make your money, and how does this work, and how much time's involved in doing it? And she phoned me up, and it felt like it was out of the blue, and said, would you like to, I've got 2 groups, 2 very small groups, do you want to take them on? And it was a bit like, oh, okay, this is what I've kind of been asking for. And now somebody's putting it there for me.
And that's scary, isn't it?
And I was like really hesitant, because what was holding me back at that point was, hang on, I've just spent 3 years retraining. I've just built up my practice to what is a good level. What am I going to do now? I'm about to turn around and say, actually, I'm changing career again. And I was, in my own mind, I thought, does that make me flaky? And then I'm thinking, do other people think that that makes me flaky? Am I trying to do too much? But I took on these 2 groups, so it's fine. I'll just run it as a part-time thing on the side. And I'm not kind of the type of person who does stuff part-time. I have to, if I'm going to do it, I'll do it properly. And I found that I was enjoying preparing for my meetings and running the meetings and connecting the women more than I was enjoying seeing my clients. I thought, well, I'm here, may as well open another group. And I started to open groups, and it just started to take off. And I think it was one because it doesn't, and it still doesn't feel like work. Yeah. It still feels like I'm just doing something I really, really enjoy. Yeah. And secondly, the fear wasn't there so much with doing the networking thing. And in a way, this is what I used to do in the bars anyway. We used to hold a night, open the doors, in come the people, and I used to just connect them by getting them a drink or letting them into the VIP lounge, whereas this is actually connecting them for a better purpose than having a glass of champagne. It's, oh, you should meet this person. They could really help you with your job.
It's interesting. It completely plays to your strengths and the skills that you had when you were in that hospitality management profession. You know, it's kind of using all those skills and just putting them in different places.
Yeah, but at the same time, taking elements from my therapy training where you're having to really understand people and, you know, because a lot of the time people say, oh, yes, I'm really enjoying this, where there's stuff going on under the surface, and they're actually not. So it's kind of getting all those people skills I learned through the therapy and kind of putting them both together. And so growing the groups and growing the business has just felt, okay, I won't say it's felt easy, but it's just felt very natural. And natural. It is hard work, because the fun bit is the meetings, the hard bit is all the admin and the paperwork and the emails and all the stuff we don't enjoy. But yes, I almost feel like it's a cheat, me making it happen. I kind of made it happen through pure enthusiasm and love for what I was doing, basically, I think.
But the good thing is, Sam, is that you've kind of, and I talk to people about this all the time, they come to me and they say, you know, well, I don't know what I can do next, I'm not sure what skills I've got. And actually, all the skills that you picked up before, and I say, just look back, let's just go back down your timeline and say, you know, what are the skills you have, what are the experiences you had, and what can you bring now with you? Because you don't lose that, you can't make that go away, you've got it there. It's just having an understanding of how those skills could possibly translate into something in a completely different field.
Exactly, yeah. Totally.
So Sam, what do you do to bring your ideas to life? When you have an idea and you go, oh, that sounds like a good idea, how do you bring your ideas to life? I mean, in terms of the group, I know because obviously I attend the Hampstead group, which I'm part of, and you run, and you've always got great ideas and stuff. So what do you do to bring your ideas to life?
I'm as you probably gathered, I'm a people person, and I kind of have to put it out there to my network of friends, if you like, and bat ideas off my partner and sister, and do you think this would work, or do you think this could happen? And I kind of need, again, I don't know whether it's that people-pleasing thing, but I need the feedback. So for me, just having the ideas in my head, putting it down on paper, and then cracking on with it, that works for some people, but for me that doesn't work. I have to go, do you think this, and do you think that? And then maybe people disagree, and I might go along with it anyway, but it just really helps me to throw it out there to other people, and that's what brings it to life and colours.
Yeah, and that's it, because actually just by, they say, if you know, you can think about your goals, but if you write them down, they're more likely to happen, and if you tell somebody else, they're even more likely to happen, because once it's out there and you've said it, it kind of becomes real, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like that. I see a lot of people who, you know, have a great idea and crack on with it, and they haven't had feedback, and maybe it doesn't work. But sometimes, it's funny, I'm a classic hero, I don't actually like getting feedback sometimes. I don't want to hear the negative stuff, but I know how important it is, and it's something I've really had to work on myself, because sometimes you've got to share it, and I'm always surprised when people go, oh, that's a really good idea, why don't you try that? Yeah, go with it, run with it, and it's so important to have the confidence to share it.
Yeah, and even like maybe sometimes I cherry pick who I share it with, because we've all got, you know, friends who are more kind of glass half full, and we've all got other friends who are glass half empty. So if I'm thinking, yes, it is a good idea, I'll go and speak to one of my glass half full people. So, yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's so important. I mean, obviously the job that you do and the networking that you do, there's a whole host of people that you're surrounded by. And that's the other thing, is kind of knowing who to go to and who to ask and what you want from certain people.
Yeah. I mean, I feel incredibly lucky because my job is networking, and I have these fabulous women who are all experts in their own field, who are, you know, are so open, and that's part of the networking thing anyway, sharing ideas. But that I just feel so blessed that I have so many people I can go to and share things with, you know, like yourself, pick up the phone and say, what do you think of this? I'm not sure how that would work. And, you know, so I know I'm very lucky in that way. You know, not everybody has, you know, such a big network, but most people have got a couple of friends that they could share something with, or member of their family or something like that. But I mean, that's what works for me anyway.
Yeah, and I think also sometimes people share things with family, but, you know, quite often people don't want that to change. So sometimes you've got to go outside of your normal sphere of kind of influence, or the people that you know, in order to get someone who's going to support the idea.
Yes, absolutely. And especially, you know, I mean, I've got a fabulous partner who's very supportive, but with your other half, you know, they really sometimes don't want things to, because what if suddenly your wings are unclipped and you start to fly, and that could change a lot of, you know, it could change things in your relationship. So there's all these kind of things to think about.
Yeah, and also I think people think, well, you know, if the partner might think, well, she might not be home to cook dinner, or she might not be there when we want to go away for a weekend, or she might suddenly be more successful, or, and actually it says something about them as well. You know, if she's really successful, what does that say about me?
Absolutely, it's their stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
So, Sam, in order to, I've written here, you know, in terms of doing all your make it happen stuff, how do you balance that with life? I mean, how do you get the balance right between work and everything else that's going on?
I think in the past I haven't been very good at that. You know, really, what, you know, with this networking business, it was all about that initially, and when I started off, I had a new partner who you know, I'm with now, kind of 5 years on, and it was, you know, it's all about this. And a couple of years ago, I just was aware that, you know, I was answering emails, my phone was constantly on, so I'd be watching the TV and answering emails, and there was no like cut-off time. It was like I didn't have any boundaries really, but that was my choice, and I was just constantly on it with work, and even when I was going out to meet friends, I'd be picking up cards of other people and thinking, oh, I could invite them along. So I've just had to be really disciplined. I've just had to be like, now, like I work from 10 o'clock till either 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending if I've got a meeting the next day, and that's it. Then the computer gets shut down, don't answer emails anymore, you know, late at night, and I often have Fridays off. You know, not every Friday, but I often will have 2 Fridays a month, have them off, and that's, you know, one of the perks of working for yourself, I guess. And it's like, and on that day, we're not doing worky things. This is to see my family, or this is to do whatever it might be. So I just think it's, for me, I've just had to be very disciplined about it, because I wasn't great at balancing it.
Yeah, no. And I think that's the problem as well. I mean, this is something I find when I'm working with people, you know, when you take their work week and you look at it and you say, right, okay, tell me when you look after the kids, or you do the shopping, or you go out and do stuff for you, maybe the gym. Okay, so you've got all the basics in. Now tell me when you see clients, so they block all that out. And then, and before you know it, you find that your time is really squeezed. But I think having a good understanding and putting some boundaries in place is a brilliant way to really manage your time more effectively. You've got to put the boundaries in.
No, definitely. And I think, you know, I was always very averse to having a time, you know, and even then when it's like, okay, today's a working day, I'm going to work from 10 till 5 or whatever, I was very averse initially to chunking my day up and going, right, so 10 to 11 I'm going to do this, 11 to 12, then I'll have a break, then I'll do this. And I'm like, oh, I don't need a plan. How naff is having a plan? It's like being at school. But it works. Yeah. You know, the bottom line is it works. And the other thing is to just get rid of, 1, the interruptions, and 2, the distractions. So the interruptions being turn off your emails, put on an out-of-office autoresponder, turn off your phone. You know, people, it's not the end of the world if people can't get hold of you for 2-3 hours, especially if you've put a message on there. And then distractions for me, you know, Facebook is very much part of what I do as reaching out to people. But when it's on and it's pinging in and then it's just a mate telling me that she's bought a new dress, you know, that's like interrupting my day.
Yeah.
So it's getting rid of my own distractions, closing my Facebook off, closing my Twitter off, you know, turning, I work at my kitchen table, you know, turning my seat around so I don't look at the washing basket, you know, just.
And that's it. It's like those boundaries are so important, and I find that as well. You know, I can be sucked into something on the half an hour later. I go, where did I start? What was I doing here? And shutting stuff down is so crucial to, you know, and actually just you can reward yourself with a bit of Facebook time if it's a fun aspect, or a Twitter time, or whatever you do. If social media is your thing, but yeah, it's so important to put boundaries in place, and I think that will be different for every person.
Totally, yeah.
So this one always makes me laugh. I always ask this question. So if there was a cock-up that you made in the last 12 months that actually you go, oh, my hand's up, I can't believe I did that, on your make it happen journey, is there anything you can think of that you've gone, oh, God, I wish I'd done that?
Good question. I'm sure that there's billions and billions of cock-ups on my make it happen journey. I mean, we've already talked about time, and it's not so much a cock-up, but that spending too much time on whether it's whatever your goal may be, whether it's that running the marathon or your own business kind of thing, just spending too much time on it to the detriment of your friends and family, that is a cock-up actually. That isn't a good thing. And I think sometimes the enthusiasm that you have yourself does automatically mean everybody else shares that enthusiasm as well. And sometimes just being, I wouldn't say it's a cock-up, but just a bit too eager to please and a bit too keen and a bit too ramming it down everybody's throats all the time. It's actually, okay, can we just talk about something else or do something else kind of thing. So it's almost having a bit of a reality check, actually, especially with my friends who don't necessarily have their own, you know, I've made through networking a lot of friends who run their own business, so we often talk about business and they get it, but the majority of my friends are either stay-at-home mums or they're working mums, or they work for big companies, and they don't want to hear it, you know, this relentless me banging on about my own business. So don't know whether it's so much of a cock-up, but it's definitely a mistake and something to be aware of.
It's funny because my next question is like, in terms of your make it happy journey and your success, what do you fear most about your make it happen kind of challenge or experience or journey? What is it that you think, oh God, what is the thing that frightens you most about it?
What frightens me most? It goes. I sound like a stuck record, but it goes back to what will people think? And I think the fact that I've changed career 3 times. You know, I'm thinking, oh God, people will think I'm flaky. They will. Do you know what? People don't actually care. They couldn't care less because they're not walking in your shoes, and they're like, well, good on you, good if you found something, that you enjoy. But that initially was quite paralysing when I got the opportunity to take on board the whole WIBN thing. And I mean, as a grown woman in her 40s, the one person I was scared of telling was my dad. I remember thinking, what will my dad think when I tell him that I'm changing career again at my age and doing this? And it's kind of insane, really. And he was just really pleased for me that I'm doing something that I enjoy. And I think that, for me, has always been the biggest fear. Not so much will I fail, because I'll make a go of it, whatever happens. I'll make a go of it, and I'll do my absolute best. And if it doesn't work, then I'll find something else. I mean, that's just me. My fear was, what are people going to think? They're going to think, who does she think she is? And even when I had coaching for the very first time, I remember seeing this life coach and thinking, what were people, who do I think I am going to see a life coach? Because at the time it's like, oh, does she think she's from LA? And what will people think when they just think, brilliant, what's it like? Oh, tell me more about it. So My fear has always been to do with other people, I think.
That's not interesting. And it's so funny because if you're passionate and authentic and love what you do, it doesn't, you know, most people get on board with that. They get excited about it for you. I think people come across as flaky when they don't throw themselves into it or they seem a bit unsure. But, you know, when you've got 100% conviction, even 75% conviction in what you're doing, and you feel passionate about it and feel excited about it, you know, that's infectious.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, it's all good.
So Sam, when you have a down day,
yes,
and you're feeling like, you know, God, you know, how am I going to make it happen today? How do you get yourself motivated and revved up? I mean, obviously you're quite a positive, can-do-y person anyway, but when you have an off day, what do you do to motivate yourself?
Depends how much of an off day I'm having. If I'm having a really, really off day, then I just allow myself to have an off day, to be honest with you. I often say at networking, if you don't feel you're in the zone and you can't make it happen today, then it's better not to show up than to just be half the thing. So if I'm really having an off day for whatever reason, I'll be like, right, do you know what, forget it. I'm going to the park, I'm going to have a coffee, I'm going to do something lovely for myself, and I'm going to come back to it tomorrow when I'm in a good frame of mind. And then all those problems don't seem as bad tomorrow. But if it's just kind of woken up on slightly the wrong side of the bed, kind of an off day, or the first email you read in the morning is something a little bit negative, or a moan from somebody. First of all, being me, it's like, oh God, this is terrible. And then you just have to have a little bit of a reality check. The one thing I do with the ladies I network with is I always ask them, you know, when they've been a member for a while, if they don't mind writing a testimonial, which is a good thing for anybody in business, to ask for testimonials. Yeah. And I'll go back and I'll read the testimonials and I'll think, actually, okay, I'm doing this right. And even back from when I used to run hotels and bars, and there was no emails and it was all letters. I have this big file of all the weddings I used to put on at our hotel, and with all the thank you letters, and I go back and read what a damn good job I've done in the past. And
so important. It's so important. Yeah. It's a real confidence boost, isn't it, when you go back and read those and actually think, actually, I can do this. I'm actually okay at this.
And if you remember as well, it's always easier to, you know, it's like when people write on holiday reviews, it's always easier to have a moan than it is to write something and say, oh, by the way, thank you, that was really good. So for me, that really works. You know, and I say to anybody, get together a little stack of stuff that makes you feel good, or that nice compliment you got, or that nice email, and then it's, right, come on, right, let's get going. We do know what we're doing. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody has days where they feel, oh, God, not right, can't do it, and, you know, don't feel like you can or you don't want to, and you're absolutely right. Just walk away from it. You know, change your energy state, move somewhere else, do something different in order to, and I think people can sit behind their computers all day and try to force something, it just doesn't work. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Just getting away from what you're doing and try something different, or just give yourself permission to step away from it.
And so
the other question I have for you, so Sam, do you procrastinate, and if you do, what do you do to stop yourself procrastinating?
Yeah, I do procrastinate. I have got a lot better, but for me, I just have to have little rewards. Whether it's like I'm gonna get this done, and I'm gonna get it done by midday, and I am gonna have a slice of cake with coffee. I mean, it sounds so basic, but it's what works for me, you know, definitely. Or I'm going to phone, you know, my best friend up at so and so time if I do it. But you know, all that said, I have always been a kind of leave it to the last minute kind of person, because I do work well under pressure and under stress, and sometimes just accepting that as well is okay. It's like, yeah, you know, it's like we were talking before we came live about doing tax returns and things, and it's like, you know, I've had months to do this tax return, and here we are, you know, a couple of weeks off the deadline, and it's just getting pushed and pushed and pushed. But when I do sit down and do it, I power through it, and it's job done. So yeah, kind of a answer of knowing yourself and just little rewards, I think, for me.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good concept, and actually sticking a post-it note on your wall and going, when I finish this, I will. You know, have a bath, go for a shower, phone a friend, have a coffee, slice of cake, all of that.
Brilliant.
So in terms of support networks, obviously you're networking, so you have got a massive support network around you. Yeah. But you know, who do you think supports you most, and how do you get them on board with what you're doing?
I think my partner is actually a massive support. Having him on side with me, and you know, he loves to, is there anything I can do to help you when he comes home, and getting involved, and that's great. And half the time I'm like, no, just go away kind of thing. But for me, it's him, and it's my family actually, you know, and I'm blessed to have those people around me, because they're the ones that you're doing it for, and that's what it's all about. So for me anyway, yeah. that's what it's all about. You know, I work so I'm happy in what I do, but it's all about, you know, having a nice quality of life and being able to spend time with the people that you want, really. So that's the main thing. But also on the other side, that there's about 18 franchisees who do what I do, and we have a lovely support network amongst us, where we kind of share best practice ideas, and what did you do in your groups? Oh, I tried this didn't work, or I'm doing this, and we're kind of, it's a real place, because they really get what, it's like anything with a colleague, they totally get what you're moaning about, or when you've had a good day, and so we have like a little private Facebook group, and we're always on there saying this happened today, and that, we only set it up a couple of years ago, has been an absolute godsend. That has been so helpful, just hearing it from other people, because sometimes you're so stuck in it yourself, and I suppose for yourself, talking to other coaches, and they're like, yeah, that happens to me, and you're like, yes, okay, I'm not alone with this kind of thing.
And quite often I find when I'm talking to people, when they, whatever they're doing, they're scared to share stuff with people in the same profession, because they think it might be competitive, or they might steal an idea or whatever. But I find the best support, I mean, obviously even in the groups that we go to, it's the other coaches that I absolutely love and latch onto, because they've got experience, and they've got different viewpoints, and they've got, you know, different insights, and to be honest, they do different things in a different environment with a different network of people. So yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I think people are scared to reach out for help, but they say if you want to achieve anything, surround yourself with people who are on a similar journey.
Totally, yeah. They're like-minded people, and they will, you know, help bring you up, kind of thing.
Yeah, if you need, bring you up. There's a song about that. So Sam, if someone was hesitant about starting their own Make It Happen journey, what is the advice that you would give them?
Oh, okay, if they were hesitant about starting their own journey, and it's like, I always think, what is the worst? What have you got to lose? What is the worst thing that can happen if you don't start your Make It Happen journey? Is, you know, you're just going to be in the same place you were always in. If you don't decide to jump out of that aeroplane, if that's what you want to do, or if you don't decide to set up your business, or the worst thing that can happen is that you'll just be where you always were. So just do it. I mean, I know it sounds daft, but just do it. There's, what do you know, just deal with those fears, and for me, get a coach. You know, I know coaching's not for everybody, but get yourself a coach, or bounce the ideas off somebody, and just put it out there. You know, it's only our fears, and it's only stuff in our own mind holding us back.
Yeah, and it's interesting, some of the other things you said, you know, it's asking for help, getting a coach, you know, setting boundaries, and being clear also on what it is you want to achieve, because sometimes people kind of have a vague idea, and I think as soon as you can get specific, or an opportunity presents itself, and you go, right, I'm going to do that, what is it that needs to happen in order to make it happen? And I think once you get clear on that, it kind of moves in the right direction.
Yeah, and just, again, going back to that whole law of attraction thing, but just start putting it out there, and all of a sudden you'll the opportunities start coming your way. You know, it's all of a sudden, oh, I want to run a marathon, and then guess what? Some local charities put something through your door saying, we're looking for people to run the marathon for us on this behalf. Things just start to happen once you put it out there. So you know,
you start to notice things, don't you? Where you think, oh, actually, that ties in with what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So Sam, tell us a bit more about your business at the minute and what you're doing with that.
Okay, so I've got my 9 groups at the moment, and my long-term plans is to expand and actually move out of the London area. Hopefully, I've got a friend actually, because I run the groups at the moment, and I'm in the groups, and I love running the groups. But in business, if you want to make have a real business, you've got to be able to step back from it, and then kind of, you know, almost that whole idea of passive income kind of thing. And for me, that would be having, and I already have a friend in the Northwest who'd be interested in doing this, running 3 groups for me up there. So she'd be like a group manager for me, and then I can step back from it. Yeah. And if that works there, then with a view to doing it at a nice, slow, comfortable rate, then with a view to maybe growing it a bit more in London. And so that's kind of long term what I want to do with the business, and to be able to take that stand back from it kind of thing. But I also have some of my groups are super big, like the one you're in, Hampstead, and some of them are very little groups. So I've got a group in Clapham and one in Piccadilly and Islington that are still quite small. So I really want to focus this year on growing those groups and getting more people along, and at the same time.
Specifically, what are you going to do to make that happen? What are the sort of people you're looking for? What sort of, you know, what are you trying to attract to those groups?
So with the networking groups I run, basically we have one person from each profession. So we have a copywriter, a business coach, a architect, whatever. So we're looking for people from different professions, but they've got to be the right kind. They've got to be people who will mix well with the group, because there's no point. I could just contact a load of whatever solicitors, and the first person who says, oh, I'll come, I'll be like, right, bang, bite your hand off and join my group. But it's got to be somebody who's going to add to the group, and is kind of there for the right reasons, because women join to get business, but it's also about helping the other people there, and the camaraderie. So I've just got to face one of my fears, which is cold calling, and contact a load more women in different professions that I've identified, and once people come to a meeting, that they either love it or they just think it's not for them. So, you know, once I can get them through the door, the job's kind of half done, really. Yeah. So yeah, face my fear and make some cold calls.
But the thing is, if you get an introduction, I mean, the network you've got, if everybody in the network introduced you to one person, it's less scary, because it's one kind of, it's only one person removed. It's not freezing cold. It's kind of like warm.
Yeah. And that's where most of the introductions have always come from anyway. But I just think with the couple of groups that aren't growing, because they're small, there's not that many women there who can introduce people. So right. I need to be a bit more proactive with them, and just go out and meet some, and maybe attend some different networking events myself. You know, go to other things and meet people. So, oh, do you want to try this? So just get out there a bit more, I think.
If people want to find out more about WIBN and the groups that you run, Sam, what do they need to do?
So they can look at the website, which is www.wibn.co.uk, or just email me, and I can, you know, send you plenty of information, or we can just have a little chat. My email is samantha.lawton, that's Lawton, at wibn.co.uk, or come and follow me over on Twitter, and I'm always chatting about networking and what's going on, and my Twitter handle's at WIBNSam, so, you know, however you want to connect.
Yeah, fantastic, that's brilliant. Sam, thank you so much. You've shared some really valuable insights there, and I'm really hoping that, you know, getting out and networking, I found, has really brought my business on leaps and strides, because it just makes sense to connect with people who are heading in the same direction. So thank you for sharing all your insights and being so honest with your awful experience to start with. Oh my God. And good luck with everything. And I will make sure all the details are underneath this video, so that people can contact you or get in touch, and we can get networking. Thank
you, Claire. Thank you for having me on the program and introducing me to Google Hangouts.
There you go. It's quite every time I do it, there's always some kind of technical hitch, but we got there in the end.
We did. It was fine. It's brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. So Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. I will say bye for now, and good luck with everything. And if anybody's got any questions, contact Sam direct, and the details will be below. So thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you soon.
Bye, Claire. Bye-bye.
Bye.